Welcome to another episode of The Places You Can Go, brought to you by the International College of Seville. I'm your host, Evan Kindle, and in today's episode, we have a very special conversation lined up. We'll be diving into the lived experiences, motivations, and passions of 3 staff members at the International College of Seville who have dedicated their lives to creating transformative study abroad experiences for their students. Today, you'll hear from the Director of Student Affairs, Lisa Dolan, the Academic Director, Sandra Soto, and the Director of Student Housing, Gina de los Santos. These 3 professionals hail from diverse international backgrounds, but are united by their shared mission of supporting students here in Seville. We'll hear about their own journeys to Spain, their inspirations for helping others take the leap into international education, and how their professional and personal experiences have shaped the programs they design and manage today. Sandra, it's a pleasure to be able to sit down and chat with you today, to hear a little bit about your background and what inspired you to take on this professional career in providing students with these educational experiences. To kind of put things in context to start off, I'd like to hear a little bit more about your background. So I know you are originally from Seville, but you've also spent a lot of time living abroad. So can you share a little bit about how this time living outside of Spain has influenced you or broadened your perspectives?
Hi, Evan. I'm so happy to be here today, so thanks for having me. I was already multicultural when I arrived in the US because I grew up surrounded by British people, British citizens, and I embraced their language and their culture very early on. Um, Actually, when I was a child, I was about 5, 6 years old. And it was easier for me to just add a third culture to my identity, when I moved to the States. It just felt natural. Um, I have always felt international and very curious about the world. And I think that my experiences in the States, at the time that I was abroad, just made that side of me stronger, if you will. I work and study abroad, which means that, that's very obvious. It's very obvious the way that my experiences have influenced what I do, my life, my professional career has been, um, shaped by my time abroad, definitely. And the fact that I'm an international person, I consider myself that way at least. And also, it has provided me with a sense of adaptability and flexibility that help me every single day. My outlook on life has been greatly shaped by that.
So you've identified a couple major points that I kind of want to circle back on. So what were some of these uh, cultural differences that you noticed living abroad at first? And, how do you, having identified these cultural differences personally, how do you try to approach that same issue that some students may have when they come to you for help?
Okay, well, my differences and challenges, I might say, were probably not linguistic. I did not have problems with the language because I already had that, but they were more of a personal and cultural nature, I would say. General nature and popular, like general culture and popular culture, uh, who's who, or just little inside jokes that you don't get. Imagine, it's like being at a concert and everybody knows the songs and you don't. And you just feel lost. You're just nodding along or just, trying to catch up. And you just listen. And you hope that if you listen long enough, you will finally get it, you know, and you'll be part of it. For example, I would say the sense of time was something that was completely different from what I was used to. Time seemed to move faster in the US than it did in Spain. And everyone was busy or seemed to be busy. I will remember something that I always remember is when I would ask a friend to meet with me for, just coffee or a chat, and they would say, I need to check my schedule. The first time that someone said that to me, I really honestly believed that they did not like me. Because here, in Spain, you would never say that to someone you want to spend time with. So that was really shocking at first. But well, you get used to it. You learn that it does not mean the same thing there that it means here, and you just adapt. And another thing of a personal, kind was when people would just ask you how you were doing as they were passing by. So at first, you really want to answer because here in Spain, Spanish culture, if someone asks how you are, they really want to hear it, but people would not stop. They would just say it in passing. So you get to realize that it's not that they're being rude or they don't care. It's just something that people say. And you learn how to differentiate when people really want to stop and have a conversation and when they're just, making small talk or just saying hi, which is what it really means. And how I decided or how I just dealt with it all was by making friends. That was probably the most important thing that I ever did. And the second one was to just listen. Just listen. That was probably it. And things just started to make sense until you did not have to think about it anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. So then what you've identified are similar cultural nuances or differences that, a number of our students that coming from the United States may have to kind of realize
Right.
when they're here and when they're socializing with people in public or when they're meeting people for the first time or when they're just trying to assimilate with their host families or just try and feel a sense of normality as they're getting used to this new environment. So how do these experiences kind of shape the way that you assist in the design of the study abroad programming and support students that come to our school?
Well, mostly because I attended college in the States, right? And I was there on a scholarship. So to me, that's important. And I think it's important that study abroad is affordable and accessible to everyone. Also, because most of the challenges that I had were personal, I would say, or of a personal nature, it's important to me to focus on the human component. So obviously, academics are extremely relevant and important and must be taken into account, but we must never forget the human component, just the little things. And those are the things that most people remember and that will most definitely shape them and change who they are in a profound way that, they can look back on later. So I think that's key.
I totally agree with you. And you are the primary contact and you're very pivotal to creating the partnerships that we need to have with the University of Seville and our other partner AUSA here in terms of providing students with as much, as many academic opportunities as they can so that we can be accommodating to students from all studies and all backgrounds. So you've already mentioned the human component, and obviously that's extremely essential to creating a trusting relationship and providing students with key support. Is there any other, or are there any other approaches or steps that you take into designing academic programs that not only meet the educational goals but also give students a deeper understanding of the Spanish culture?
Right, exactly. That's actually a great question because, I mean, they come to Spain, you know, and obviously they come with certain requirements, academic requirements, and they need the credits. And we have to be able to provide all that. But at the same time, you know, even for those students who don't speak the language, you know, I mean, Spanish culture is everywhere. You know, it's actually, we don't really have to make an effort to make the Spanish component or culture, you know, part of the curriculum. We would have to make an effort not to include it. You know, and of course we offer, to begin with, an extensive, comprehensive, and hands-on orientation. That's, you know, from the moment that the students arrive, they are part of Spain, you know, in Seville. Well, throughout the semester, we also offer them local trips and activities, and also we teach them cooking, Spanish cooking, flamenco. Um, you know, when it comes to classes, when it comes to the courses that they take, we offer, you know, uh, language, culture, Spanish history, Spanish art, of course, but regardless of what they do in the classroom, I think it's important to keep in mind the relationship between what is happening in that classroom and what is happening outside. I mean, what they're learning, you know, and what happens and what is happening outside, what they're doing, who they're with. And that connection is key to building a comprehensive and well balanced program.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. So you have a lot of direct contact with our students, you know, when they are at their highest highs and at their lowest lows. And so you have to manage a lot of different emotions. I'm sure you have a lot of different stories of challenges that students had to overcome. Is there any particular student or moment, kind of doing this job that you felt like your work was in creating and supporting study abroad programs truly made a difference in the student's life?
Well, I like to think that every little thing that you do, every step that you take, you know, helps someone. It would be very hard for me to find just one moment when that happened. But to be honest with you, when I think about that question, the first thing that comes to mind is something that happened before I was even professionally involved in study abroad. And it happened when I was a student. As I said, I think I mentioned earlier, I went to college in the United States. And I remember I was an international student there, of course. And I remember one of my friends from my dorm, she approached me one day and said, "You're from Seville, right?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And my college in the States had a program in Seville at the time. So she wanted to come to Seville so bad, but her dad would not let her. He would not allow it. He was afraid, you know, he had all these concerns about her safety. And so he said to me, "Would you be willing to talk to my dad?" You know? And he said, "Okay." So I talked to her dad, and he asked me all these questions about Seville, about Spain, about the culture, about, you know, safety. And I told him everything that I knew. And finally, he was allowed, you know, she was able to come to Seville and she was able to be here for a semester thanks to that conversation. And that goes to show, um, well, first of all, that I believed in study abroad, like even before I was professionally involved, you know, in the field. And also that it's important for people to be involved and to be informed, and that is something that I also try to remember when discussing programs with partners and with prospective students. Information is key. They need to know where they're coming. They need to feel safe and secure, and managing expectations is very important from the very beginning.
Yeah, definitely. And you were already doing this role before you even had the position. So it's like you were meant to be in this position. So that's really inspiring that you've kind of held on to that same passion even from such a young age. And having, experienced it at a young age, I think you maybe have more sympathy or empathy for the students that maybe are looking for information or don't really have access or don't know where to look. I think that you're a key person in kind of pointing them in the right direction. So I can see how that would be really fulfilling. Um, is there any particular aspect of your role or interacting with students that you feel continues to inspire you every day?
I would probably say that it's that personal connection. Mm, many people are lost and they're trying to find their way when they're here, and it can be very overwhelming. So I think that personal connection is probably what moves me and what keeps me grounded too, because it makes me remember when I was in the same situation. And that is probably one of the reasons why I wanted to be here and do what I do. I wanted to do for other people what people had done for me before. And that's probably the main reason why I'm still in the field and I'm not, leaving.
Mhm. Right. So we're about to start the spring semester. We have a group of students on their way here. I kind of want to get your thoughts about students that are maybe hesitant to study abroad, like this young student that you knew when you were younger. If there was a piece of advice that you would give students that are considering studying abroad, or others that are hesitant to take that leap, what would you say to them? What would that advice be?
Well, I would say do it, of course. And, studying abroad changes who you are for the better. And most of us are not really forced to consider who we are and what we believe in until we are required to face change, to face difference. So I would say if you want to find out who you really are, go abroad.
Mhm. That's great. Well, Sandra, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and share your experiences, your background, and what inspires you to want to give these same experiences to our students. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Evan. It was great being here.